I am now going to critique Bailey Suter's photo. So I first just want to talk about the elements and principles that Bailey used in this photo. So the first element that kind of stuck out to me and made me feel as though this was a big thing you were using is value. We have the darkness of the wall, the darkness of the bottle, but then we have the lightness of the back of this wall and even of the the pill bottles that are being used. And so it just creates this huge contrast of the photos um, and the huge value of the lightness of the darkness to express the volume that you're trying to speak with the bottles and everything. I also feel as though the colors, so the intensity of the bottles, that bright orange, and the not so bright blue, but also bright blue bottle, it's kind of that dark blue, bright blue color that you have this light where the light is hitting, and then you have this darker part down here, and then you have these darker bottles as well. For the principles, I feel as though that the first principle I obviously think I saw was the variety. And so you have the variety of colors, but then you also have a combination that shouldn't go together. So alcohol and pills you obviously shouldn't be taking together, and a lot of them have warnings on the side: do not drink if you are using this product. So it's kind of that funny irony that I feel in it too, as well. And I also feel the harmony though with the products that can be considered illegal, quote unquote. If you're not 21, you're not supposed to be drinking, and then as well as the pills, if they're not prescribed to you, you are not supposed to be taking them. So you have that harmony of the illegal action going on without having any people portraying that illegal action. Um, for me, I think this image is obviously I read your narrative idea, and you said it's about vice, and vice is obviously the abuse of drugs and alcohol and things along those lines. And I think for this, you did portray it exactly as what I would put vice in my head as, with the pill bottles and with the vodka and all that alcohol. You almost get that sense of, for me at least, in a way, a nightmarish view of this. So I think you could have played this either way. You obviously chose the vice way, but I get that nightmare view because for me, this makes me think suicide because of the pills and because of the alcohol, and those are two things that you're really not supposed to mix. So I think the one big thing that I would change is this brightness over here. It almost hurts your eyes to look at that pill bottle, and it makes it hard to be able to just look at it and think, okay, like this is fine. It makes me feel almost blinded because it's so bright and it looks as if the flash was directly on it. But besides this, I think you portrayed exactly what you needed for your narrative idea. And then improvements, I think looking overall at all of your photos, not even at this one, I think you just need to focus a lot on getting that narrative idea through. It's vice, but to me, I feel as though it's a nightmare that someone is living with, suffering through suicide and making their way through every day with drinking and things along those lines. I don't get that doing illegal things because it's just one person, and for me, one person, yes, it's still illegal, but I wouldn't consider that illegal. So I would just work on that for obviously our narrative part 2, to making sure that your photos portray exactly what you're needing them to portray, not just taking pictures of vodka and saying that's vice, because I personally get a more suicide feel on it, which is to to me would be portrayed as a nightmare. But overall, you did a really good job, and I feel as though this is something that you understood and you get the process of taking a photo. And I would just make sure that you continue to look at what you are trying to portray um, in your narrative idea.